person. I just didn't think
They
about
walk down
that.
to the pier, which is.
Maybe I can't eat it. I just like,
Yeah, I was sitting there with the little kid.
But I have,
Talking, I saw some people.
gotten like grits. At
oh,
the right places.
Look,
Yeah.
stood up.
I've had grits at Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, I'm not they don't make them the way I like them.
Yeah.
We went and watched it.
There's a little restaurant we go to.
Morning, Dave.
Hey, how are you, JJ?
They put cheese in them.
Oh. You gotta add this stuff so you get the flavor. Oh, shoot.
I'd probably get sick if I got a ride.
Morning, I saw you in the hallway and panicked because I knew I was almost late.
Oh.
You
I know, I
got some time. Oh,
How you doing, Gigi?
Good enough, Matt. I'll be hanging in there.
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you.
you look like you had a fun time.
Yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. Yeah.
We might have been like in the same town. What night were you in Memphis?
Saturday night.
Yeah, I was gonna call you. Like, we were there, but we rolled in like at 6 o'clock at night, 5, 6 o'clock one night. And then,
Wow.
yeah, maybe, no, maybe it's Friday. Yeah,
Actually, we were there Friday night.
Okay.
Then we left Saturday and then spent a night. in
'Cause it was-
Missouri.
I finally was like 10, 11 o'clock, got on Facebook and I seen that you guys were there and I'm like, oh, I should like the text now, but.
Oh, you should have. We were up till like past midnight that day.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
But that's, we stayed kind of on the south. We didn't see nothing. We rolled in and then got out of town right away the next day, so. Oh, okay.
That's Reese's favorite place.
Yeah.
You missed
Memphis.
Reese's favorite
I could,
place.
I could maybe stay there a couple days or, you know. and see
We,
some stuff.
we were like you, we were in there late and then we ate, went to bed, got up and field out.
Yeah.
It's kind of like those brewery hotels, cause
I
you
heard-
can eat,
Oh,
you know, both dinner. Breakfast.
That's at Brenda's.
You don't have to go find someplace to eat. Get 3 free drinks with your
Oh,
stay.
that's what she said. She was talking to Terry Fetter.
Yeah.
And he said they like them and, cause they got supper and.
Yes, so like when Becky and Judy have done that. They started doing, cause
Maybe send you CMJT.
and even for Becky, it's kind of.
Amazing
nice to
reports.
pull in
Well,
check in your room.
For us, it would be nice.
So I
because you
need to
gotta
get that out to
Get
you.
everybody going.
Right.
Thank you. Try to keep it.
Yeah,
It's
it's,
to be much.
it's just, you know, buffet food,
Yeah.
but it's, what else do you need, you know?
Sometimes it's better than you want it. All right, it is 10 o'clock. We're all here, so we'll call the meeting to order. If you would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Amen.
All right, sir, it's time for public.
Good.
You got 3 minutes.
Can I request a couple more?
No.
Oh.
I'm with the Convention of States, Article 5 of the US Constitution. We're a nonprofit organization. We're nationwide. We got over 2.5 million petitions already trying for it to happen for the states. What happens is you need 34 states to convene, or 2/3. And right now we have 19 states on board. The objective is like the ones I already gave you in front of you, the cards, as well as some of the information about Convention of States. And when this started was in 2014, realized that things that had to be changed by the federal government because it's overreaching their authority. If whenever convention happens, there will be Congress at that time says there shall be and will be a convention state. Congress president nor the governor have anything to say about it. Just one representative from each state. is at the convention. You got to pass 38 at the convention, 38 individual states got to pass it. And you got to take only, and it takes, and 38 individual states got to pass it, and it takes 13 states in the whole process to make it happen. Not happen. What happened is that it'll be null and void. To me, it's just like trying to get 30 politicians together to agree, which is ain't gonna happen. You know what I mean? But it's a hard road. And so far, the citizens I've talked to trying to get the convention of states, it's durable because each one is very much of a plus item because in reference to term limits, because what happens is when that convention ever happens, it will go down to some of the states, what's going on. Term limits for politicians, they're in there too long. Truman says they go in as a pauper, poor person, they come out with gold mines. And he always says, I want to know where that gold mine is at. It's insider trading, and they forget about, they ain't gonna, there's a bunch of politicians that wanted to have term limits that are unable to. Some states passed it, but what happened was that somebody cried about it and went to the Supreme Court, and it can't be done because Congress has to be doing that because they ain't gonna do it. You know, I mean, you ain't gonna have enough tour. Okay, remember, our Constitution starts here, goes up, not this. And this is where I see we're heading to right now. We're already in it right now, more so than you think about. And more control is going on. Next is federal budget restraints. Federal government should never do what they have a blank check. Every country that has done this, that's turned what do you want to call socialized, have lost a lot of money and they can't make the payments. They've lost and went under through history. Okay, give you an example. Sweden, who had a potload of gold, as they say, like an Irish, and in the 30s, they were very productive country. And they seen the other countries were going, maybe we should look at being socialized, worry about the citizens, stuff like that. And lo and behold, it went from a whole mess of money.
It goes fast, doesn't it?
Huh?
Your time is up.
All right. Well, the reason why I'm here really is because this is where the government starts, and we're requesting the city and the counties and townships to submit a resolution to your representative and to the two speakers of the House that you're for favor of the Convention of States. And I always say that
Information's on your website too, isn't it?
yeah, but also too, but if you look it up on YouTube, you can see all these different major discussions, from lawyers to professors and constitutional people, and they all agree it needs to be done.
Well, thank you for coming. You drove a long way, so thank you for coming down again.
I'm dedicated because I want to see our country change around and we'll get away from socialism. I'm against it.
Thank you very much for coming.
I'm a federalist.
Thank you.
Ryan, is there anybody online that wanted to speak? Okay. So we have an agenda and we have a couple additions.
Madam Chair, members of the board, if we could add to the consent agenda, a excluded bingo permit for Pathfinder Village and an exempt permit for the Disabled Outdoorsmen USA.
We have a motion to accept the.
I'll move the agenda as amended.
I can second.
Is that JJ?
I can second, yeah.
Thank you, JJ.
And then Madam Chair, okay, they are working. There's no light on my mic.
All right. We've got a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. It's so weird to not ask for a roll call. We need to approve the minutes from March 19th.
All goals.
Thank you. Oh, and the summary for publication to Matt. Thank you.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Josh. We have a first and a second to approve the minutes and the summary for statement or for publication. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. We've got minutes of board. We've got Department of Human Service correspondence, the DHS audit review, and the Housing Redevelopment and Economic Development Authority minutes, the draft, and the Pine County Surveyor's Report.
I can move that.
Thank you, Josh.
I'll second.
Thanks, Steve. Are there any questions on any of those? Not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And then we're to the consent agenda. Are there any questions on the consent agenda?
I'll move it.
Thank you, Steve.
I'll second.
Thanks, Matt.
Ludwig. Yep.
We got a first and a second. Once again, are there any questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. And we will move right along to contracts, agreements, and grants. Or wait, no, down here, regular. Okay, Arnett Township, the impassable road, follow up after our meeting last week. So we need to consider the next steps if we want to adopt a resolution. We want to schedule a special meeting for further discussion, request more information, or any other. Anybody have any thoughts on that one?
Well, I think it was clear to me that it needs to move forward, and I would make a motion to adopt the resolution.
The resolution 2024-16.
Yes.
All right, do we have a second to Steve's motion?
I didn't hear what he said.
I moved the resolution 2024-16.
I'll second.
Are there any questions on that motion? Thanks, Ryan.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Just, I just had a couple concerns about, the only real concern I have is, what do you guys? I just don't want this to become a habit for townships to, if they get into something tough, they just want the county to take care of it for them, you know? Which I get it. I do
That guy
understand.
lost his phone. His phone is on the floor.
Oh,
Could I?
thanks, Kelly.
Which I do get why they're coming to
He
us,
took one. You catch him.
why they want us to do something about it, but I just don't. I don't know. I just hope that this doesn't come into something that, you know, anytime a town.
I agree with you on that.
An issue, they're gonna come to us to solve it, you know, which on the contrary to that. I do believe, and maybe Kelly could answer this, would this be something that countywide zoning would? Or if we had the zoning, would maybe more take care of this or not?
I think the township is following the statute for the hearing. And then all we do is tell the township to do the job. So we'll see if they do the job or not. That's the way I interpret what's happening.
Mhm.
And then it must come back to us at some point if it doesn't happen in that time frame. So
Yeah, in the resolution, it states that if they do not act within 30 days of me mailing the notice, then we would go ahead and make the corrections. And Josh, to your question, I don't know that county zoning would solve this because it is a road issue.
Okay.
And zoning doesn't deal with town road issues.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get what you're saying, Josh,
Mhm.
but I think this is when they get to the end of their road, they need someplace to turn to, the higher authority, and we are the higher authority.
So Reese, my question for you is, I know that the statutes are pretty general, or they're not general, they're pretty explicit as to what can or cannot be done by the county board. Can you explain that a little bit for peace of mind? Does that make sense?
Not quite, I'm getting
Okay,
there.
so, I mean, not anybody can just come to us for help for a road, correct?
No, I mean, it would have to be townships, and then they have to make sure that they plead correctly what's required in the statute.
Okay.
So, I mean, for instance, we've had a prior petition on a different road, and that wasn't properly pled, so we couldn't move that one forward. Whereas this one, when you've got what's alleged in the complaint, and you know, I looked through it, and I know Rick looked through it, and we found that everything was pled in the complaint properly, so basically on the statute, we had to hear it.
Okay. So not anybody from a township is gonna be able to bring us their roads.
Right, they have to go through the proper procedures and the proper steps, and it has to get to the end of their rope, so to speak,
Right.
and then they bring it they bring a petition to us because they have exhausted what they can do,
Right.
the way I understand it.
And from what I understand too, this ain't typical that a township would bring this to us, right? This would be more like a landowner or something like that, accusing the township of not doing their job. Where this was a little odd, I think this is just a township flat out scared for their safety. And can't find anybody that wants to go in there and do it. Totally understand what Steve, what you were saying, and I do get that, and I think with something like this, hopefully it don't become a problem. We might just have to address it differently if it does.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's just my concern. So,
Yeah, I
not
think
that I
it's-
agree or
I think
disagree.
it's valid, Josh, you know,
If the county went in there and did it, I would assume we'd have law enforcement and everything like that, but it would be county employees, or do you think it
could
would
be
be?
a contractor.
That, you're going, that's my question, that was when I was gonna jump in.
That would be
So-
my question also.
So the reason the township hasn't done this is because they're afraid in the threats that are applied. So we can direct them to do it and say, how do we keep them safe? Do we have a role in that? Do we set up a time and just at least have a presence close by? I don't know. Cause we're directing them to do it. But the reason they haven't done it to date is because of the threats. That's what I heard in
Well, yeah,
the
Madam Chair.
testimony.
It was a combination of that and what their grader operator just refused to do his job as a township employee.
Mhm.
And I guess that's where, I mean, if we had an employee here that would refuse to do their job, I would imagine there's a path of discipline.
That was from fear though, cause he didn't want his house burnt down.
Well, and then they said they were friends,
Oh,
is what I remembered here on, and then just all they have in exhibit C here is the grader operator told the board he only maintained up the driveway. They really didn't elaborate, but yeah, during what they were saying, it was threats and the fact that he was friends with the.
Right, that's what I get.
To agree with Josh, like not to make this a recurring thing, because they have their own government, they have their own body, they have their own elections, I would think that there should be a level of expectation there that they have to run that township.
And I would guess if they requested law enforcement, that wouldn't be an issue. I mean, they've requested it numerous times on
Yeah.
board meetings and stuff like that. So my guess is they're not gonna do it. It'll come back to us to
Okay.
do it. And then when that happens, it just, obviously the county ain't gonna take any precautions. We're gonna go in there and do what has to be done, and
so is that gonna come back to us as a board or does it just go directly to the?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Ludwig. So the resolution as written directs the county to proceed if the township fails to act within the time allotment.
So then what is the level of they just move the piles and call it good?
We would have to make a plan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Come back to this group to make a plan, or would that be taken care of by
The-
the highway department?
The way the resolution is written, it's the last therefore be it resolved clause. If the work is not completed by the town within 30 days, the Pine County Board of Commissioners directs the county to take action to bring the road to a passable condition. And so my understanding of that directive would be if 30 days passes, then we would, as staff, strategize for how to implement the direction of the county board and make sure that the resources were appropriately lined up and safety would be a primary concern.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Are there any other questions or comments on this one?
The only, if I could please, the only other thing that I seen after looking at all this and understanding, I was under the impression that the Gander Trail, Gander Dancy, was only for ATVs and such, but it is a passable legal road you can use if you have just any regular vehicle. It is posted. So I guess just for urgency to get the obstruction, I think we have some time because you can still access past that
Well,
obstruction.
he the DNR sold him an easement to go over
Right.
to his property. He purchased it from.
Okay, because it's posted right on, there's legal postings on Gandy Dancer. You can drive up and down with a regular licensed street vehicle. So I guess you can, yes, it's obstructed, yes, but you can actually come the other way
Oh,
and get,
you mean drive down the trail?
correct.
I don't
Yeah.
know, see, it's ATV only most of the time,
Yeah, it's-
but they gave him
it's
permission to
posted.
cross from the street side. That's his easement.
Yeah, it is posted. You can drive and it's heavy traffic. There's vehicles driving on it right now.
Hmm.
I just found that as interesting. So I think it buys some time, if nothing else, you know, where you can still get to the other side of that obstruction by going down Gandy Dancer.
That would be my understanding if you're looking at me for
Oh,
direction on that. I think it's ATV, might be off-highway vehicles.
Yeah.
If you see a sign that has like a Jeep on it, it's not for general traffic, it's for people that aren't licensed for roadways.
Or emergency vehicles.
That was my understanding, was he has no other way to get there except through that property, you know, through on Roy Street, and then to cross over on his easement that he paid.
That's why you had to buy that easement.
And,
Right.
and the thing I was, it's a laid out road. It's been a road since 1950.
That just means you have to have a plate,
And you
Under
can't
ATV.
obstruct a public road.
not a car.
It's
correct.
pure and simple.
Highway licensed vehicles allowed.
But not standard motor vehicles. They're all off-highway vehicles.
Okay, I could share this with everybody if anybody wanted to see it. It's just posted on the Gandy Dancer. It says permitted motorized uses, shows a snowmobile, an ATV, a motorcycle, a Jeep. And then there's a sign that says highway licensed vehicles allowed. So that's a highway license, and you have to actually drive on a highway to get to that point anyway.
I think it's a
That
side
was
by
just-
side though, or that type of thing, not a truck, not a four-wheel drive or a car.
And then if you look at the tracks. I'm just saying I think we have a little more time here because the obstruction isn't completely blocking it. From what I understand, it looks like you can access the other side of the obstruction legally.
You probably don't have to buy a trail permit if you have a highway license.
Yeah. So,
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Now, just to be clear as well, this all of it can be billed back to the township, correct?
Correct.
Yes. Here comes Kelly.
Yes, so Kelly Schroeder, County Auditor Treasurer. So this is one piece that I'm not sure that the township fully understands. Because yes, we would send an invoice to the township for our costs should we do it. However, from the testimony that it seemed like the township believed then they could just levy a special assessment against that one property. And the statute's very clear. They literally have to add that amount to their next year's levy. And if they don't, then I have to. So it gets levied, the cost gets levied on every single property in the township, not just the one. Where if they just go ahead and do it, then they could levy it however they'd want to, whether it's a special assessment or just as part of their levy. So I'm interested once I explain that to them because I don't think that they have that understanding.
So,
That if we do it, everybody pays for it in the township.
so with that, is there maybe some nonsense? Do we try to explain that to them before we do this? Or can we do this and then explain it to them and then? they can
Right.
take their own?
My thought would be you do this, and when I send them this notice, I will make sure I include something that explains that. And I did have a conversation with Bob about that already, and Bob said, that's not our understanding. And so I sent him the statute.
To me, the whole thing is a process. We can't do anything until the township fails to do something after that.
Right,
Right.
but you first have to officially direct them via the resolution.
Any other questions or comments? Now, we have a motion by Steve and a second by Matt. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. So then that'll be made clear to them when, okay, thank you, Kelly. Consent to vacate Meadow Ridge, first edition plat.
So again, Kelly Schroeder, County Auditor Treasurer. So we got a request from a local attorney to vacate Meadow Ridge First Edition plat. So this is a plat that was is in the city of Hinckley, and it was platted in the mid-90s. And nothing ever occurred with it. The streets were not put in, no city services were extended to it. And as the attorney explains in his letter, the lots to today's standards won't be able to support like an on-site septic system. And so the city told them, well, you either need to replat it or you need to vacate it. So replat it and make bigger lots, or you need to vacate it. And so they would like to go forward with the vacating it. And as explained in the letter, it's actually a process through the district court. However, part of the petition in the district court is just noting that we are okay with it. So it's a little sad because it's like 60 residential lots and we need housing, but they don't work for what they need to be.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Obviously, this is not capable to hook up the city sewer.
Right, the city has no, I don't know if it's ability or capacity to hook it up to city sewer. So they would all have to be on-site water and sewer, and the lots are just too small for that. So the people would have to buy 2 or 3 or 4 of them to be able to do anything, which would mean that they would really need to replat it and make those lots bigger. But the landowner just wants to be done with it and put it back to one parcel, get rid of the streets that were once planned to go through there and things.
So I understand, because it's happened before where people, because they thought they were gonna develop something and then the economy crashed in 2008 or whatever, and the guy said, I don't wanna pay for this anymore. I wanna go back to the way it was and farm it. And so I understand that. So we just need to make a motion to recognize that, is that?
Yeah, to consent to the vacation so that the local attorney, John Kabak, can note that on his petition to the district court, that the county consents to it
That's
and
what
doesn't oppose.
That's what I thought. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that motion.
Right, so we have Steve made the motion and Matt seconded it. Are there any other questions? Yes. Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, consent to vacate Meadow Ridge First Edition is approved. Kettle River Upper St. Croix Watershed Management Plan. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Madam Chair and members of the board. I'm Mike Keener, your Land and Resources Manager. On February 20th, you agreed to pass forward the Kettle River Upper St. Croix Watershed Management Plan. This plan that's going to bring $1.4 million into that watershed over the next biennium. This is the next stage in that process. This went back to for some comments. The comments were responded to and approved. And then the only significant change, as it says in this report here, is that an action item was added into the lake system that allows counties to invest in geo-permitting systems. So this is something that was brought forward by Carleton County. Again, this under Bowser, they feel like Bowser approved this. They feel that this will help make counties more able to respond more efficiently and just be more effective when we're doing these kind of permitting things. But this could also help us. We could, Pine County can take advantage of this as well and utilize this in order to get our own permitting system. So this would be something that we could work with online and get people could apply online for their permits rather than what they do now, which is to fill out a PDF and send it in. And the system we have now works fine, and we would always have a system for people who weren't as technologically savvy, but this offers that option going forward. The other changes were minor wording and spelling changes. And so this is going to go before if you approve this and our other partners approve this, this will go back to Bowser for final review and approval.
Does anybody have any questions for Mike or Matt? Is there anything that you wanted to add?
I do not. I will move that.
All right,
Resolution 2024-17.
motion by Matt,
I'll second.
Josh, second by Josh. Are there any questions?
I do have one, probably for Matt. I see Canabix on here. Have they been participating? They want to
The
participate?
SWCD is, yeah,
Okay,
yes.
the county at all or
County
not?
board.
No,
They're not?
I haven't, I don't know.
Oh,
Doesn't-
okay,
But, is it Kim? Kim is always there.
okay.
Do you know, Mike, is the Caneva County Board on board with this, or is it just soil and water?
It's pretty much, don't think the Canadian County Board is very involved in this particular plan, just because they're, they've got just a very small section of it. But I know they're very involved in the Snake River portion of that, which is of course a separate.
Okay, thank you.
Hmm.
Are there any other questions? We have a motion by Matt and a second by Josh. All those in favor say aye.
Right.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thanks.
Thanks, Mike. So we have commissioner updates on NACO Technology and Communications. The big thing right now is the Reconnect program they don't have any money for it anymore. So they figured that it would be gone by April. Then you can apply and maybe have half of it paid for, but it's questionable how long that's even gonna last. So unless Congress puts more money out there for the Reconnect program, and Reconnect just is a reminder, it's for the people that are low income so that they can have high-speed internet in their area. So right now, it's coming to a halt. Arrowhead Counties Association. Matt, you had said you couldn't go. Did anybody make it up there for that?
What's that?
You had said that you could not go to Arrowhead. Did anybody make it up for that?
Arrowhead?
Yeah,
I did not. Remember I asked someone to.
Right, yeah.
So I haven't heard, no.
okay. Tour of Anoka Juvenile Facility. That was really interesting. I was able to go with Judge Wynn and with Sydney from the attorney's office. And so to have two people that work a lot with our juveniles, it was really interesting to go see what happens. And when we were down there was a riot happening in one of the buildings. So we had to sit and wait because everybody had to run out and go help with the riot that was going on in the most secured facility that they had. So we were able to go through the other two and talk to a couple of the kids and just see what they do. I agree with Terry 100% that we are very blessed to have those beds there.
Did they show you the meeting room in the basement? Where we have,
Yes.
yeah.
Yep, it was pretty cool.
I remember, Terry, when I went there, I was about half scared. I
I
can't imagine being a juvenile. You'd have to have a pretty hard heart to not be thinking it's time to change my way by the time you went through in processing.
Well, they had a 13-year-old young lady that went in there the day before or the night before, and they ended up putting her in restraints, and they had just gotten some new restraints. So you lie down and tie them in. And then, we saw her a couple times while we were there, and you just think, man, I can't imagine having those anger issues, and that's what we're dealing with right now is a lot of those anger issues, and it's getting younger and younger, our kids are getting younger and younger that are dealing with it. So it's sad. NACO Rural Action Caucus, I was not able to make that one. Public Health Advisory Committee. I wasn't able to make that one either. I think when I was doing the tour of Anoka. Snake River Watershed was canceled. The Juvenile Detention Alternative Initiative kickoff was canceled. Technology Committee is rescheduled. You can tell we were on a plane, I couldn't get into it. NLX, Matt, were you able to go?
I did, I made it.
Sweet.
So the nuts and bolts where the legislative update was that there's not gonna be a lot of new money this year for them. So they have the 194 million from the state last year. And MIDDOT gave an update and they're staffing up to do the reviews all over again because the reviews from back in the day are old and outdated. And not really much else. Oh, the other news is Lenny Bonander. He missed a couple meetings. You might probably notice that. Well, anyway, he had quadruple bypass
Oh,
and they had to put him in a coma because it was struggled afterwards, but he got better. And at the time of this meeting, they suspected it would be another week to 2 weeks and he'd be able to, then he has to start therapy and be able to come home. So
Wow.
just so, but otherwise it's just moving along like NLX keeps it moving along. So
Yeah. Pine County Housing and Redevelopment Authority, Economic Development Authority.
you want to start that?
Sure. I can start, Matt, jump in anytime you see. Well, they did a rail service study, for any type of businesses or anything, or any kind of large, I suppose it'd be targeted probably towards logging and stuff they mentioned, but any business for, providing rail service. They talked about one site was right down at, Mission Creek, right next to the, recycling center somewhere in there. And then what else we talk about? The new apartment building purchase. There was some question on whether to finance it or use the cash the county has. And then the HRA EDA voted to give an additional 75,000 by loan, and the 75,000 was grant for the rock.
75 from the local housing thing and then 75 from the revolving loan
Fund.
housing. Yeah.
And that couples with the 48 or 49,000 from last October that was given to them by grant. That was a 3-1 vote on that, with one HRA EDA voting member opposing. From what I understand, it was just a simple looking at the numbers compared to this big building right over here next to the courthouse. That's 90 units with, also has underground heated parking, a lot of, better amenities compared to a 31 unit, which is going to be $16 million in the city of Sandstone. And this big, beautiful one next door was only pushing 17 million. So that one in Sandstone turns out to be 31 apartments for $516,000 per apartment. I think that's why was really the reason why it was a 3-1 vote on that. Just seems like a lot of money being spent. Especially, when there's a lot of other smaller projects throughout the county that could be impacted by this, smaller duplexes and fourplexes, possibly in other cities, townships around the area. What else, Matt?
I would go back to the rail study. They also included the industrial park in Sandstone as part of that study. And the interesting to me that came from the study was they said there was forest products business in northwestern Wisconsin that wants to get access to the rail for wood products. And there's 3 products they said that come out of that area. They studied the circle where there is no rail access from, goes all the way up to Carleton County and all the way down to, it's a pretty big area. And 2 of the products were wood. Chips. That company in northwestern Wisconsin wants to ship chips all over the US. And if you have distance, it's way cheaper to load cars. So, and there's simple ways to create where you could just, load a car fast and have a very simple site that could do stuff like that, And then the other one was lumber, and I don't know who that was. And the other one was recycling products. So it's interesting. So the interesting thing is Burlington or BNSF or where they're, if they get the numbers that who would commit to whatever X number of cars or whatever, that's the way that works. So I don't know who does the outreach, but I know even Carlson Timber has just piles of chips and he dyes his own and stuff like that. So, and I didn't reach out to him. I was going to after this meeting. I just haven't had time, but I'm going to just see, would he be interested in committing to, hey, I can fill 3 cars a week or whatever, I don't know where his market is, but I don't know how that works. So, but it was an interesting point.
He used to haul his down to St. Paul.
Yeah. See, short haul though, I don't know what that trade-off is. I don't know there's a distance where you can move it with a semi cheaper than a train. I don't know what that number is, but.
That's what the rail study was about, right?
Right.
Did they identify, other than wood products, anybody that was looking for a railhead?
Not that I recall, I just.
No, I
looked
asked some
into it. I know-
questions.
By North Branch, I know
Yeah.
they're actively trying to advertise that, selling the parcels in that industrial park that's been vacant and
Right.
for how many years now, and there's
And
no
then-
action going there, you know, that's even closer to the metro.
No, there was some talk though, how could that short line contribute to a stop if it was at Mission Creek? You know, the Scally line or the, whatever you want to call that one, so. Anyway, and then, they had their audit, which went through, which is good news from the couple years ago from when where they took over. And it was, they got a no, unmodified opinion on their audits. Other than that, I think that we gave you the nuts and bolts of it.
I think so too.
Yeah,
Central Minnesota EMS.
that's me again. So I gotta catch up here. So $47,000 remaining in the naloxone fund. Oh, the new chair is Steve Barrow out of Crow Wing. And Ron Noonan is the vice chair. So there was a couple of things that were happening in there. The Lucas devices, I don't know if that's where ambulance services are looking at help to buy the Lucas devices. And they had 3 applications come in, and this is kind of what it's for. But the Lucas device is the thing that clamps on a backboard around it, so you got that hard service, and it just does CPR, and the people can just it does it all by itself, just keeps the compressions going. But they're like $18,000 a piece. So that discussion, and it was approved to help them out of the funds there. And then it was funny to me because there was another people that sent in or they applied for training dollars, and they have I think it was 15. They want 15 people they want to train up to EMT and above level. And they wanted funds for that. And I jumped, that's exactly what we're here for. You know, that's what this whole system is. So they approved that also. And then there was legislative update. There was the 120 million that was given to the ambulance services as one-time money. And it's not really going to assist this so much as during that COVID era of years that the cost to deliver the service that was delivered to these people on Medicare, and then the reimbursements were less than 60%. So they figured they had to do, so they just gave them a one-time shot to cover the state and the ambulance service. So that's, and
Are they gonna be able to do what they need to do with the one-time shot?
what's that?
Are they gonna be able to do the things that they need to do with one-time money?
There, the deal there is, you have to, it's negotiated stuff, but so it is what it is, but yeah, they're gonna keep working on that, because it's, how do you keep running a thing if you keep going backwards? That's the problem. So the state's well aware of it, and that's pretty much it.
I'm gonna go back to the NACO technology. I had the wrong one, the Reconnect program, and it's a grant program and a loan that you can get, and that's what they were talking about. But they were also talking about the Affordable Connectivity Program, which is the one where it helps the people that don't have it. So, those were the 2 things that they talked about at the meeting. I had the wrong ones. Thank you, Dave. And then we had the AMC board meeting was canceled because it was Good Friday and people wanted to go to church. And Steve, you have some others.
Yep, Lakes and Pines, got moved back a week because of some training that was gonna go on, so we did our regular meeting, which lasted about an hour, and that included our audit report, which, went well. Lakes and Pines have gone through some, because of staff changes, new fiscal people. And so the audit has taken a little bit longer than normal, but everything does look good. And then we did some training, mostly for our board, to understand what each department did. They had department heads come in and give a little synopsis of what they, yeah, that was good. And then there was some general training on what to look out for in audits and that kind of stuff. It was all good stuff. So that was last Monday, and then I went to the ECM board, which is emergency. It used to be called the Northeast Regional Radio Board, but it's gotten to be much more complicated than that. I was telling Matt, I feel like I'm flying in a little Piper Cub, and they're talking at F-22 speed. They're at 50,000 feet going 900 miles an hour, and I'm down here trying to grasp what they're talking about. I'm looking over at Ryan, thinking we need to have somebody from his staff involved more in that, because it's all technical issues now. And the thing that I gathered out of the whole thing is, as we switch to the next gen 911 system, it's all great. And we've been using these to make our 911 calls, but it actually gets dummied down to an analog system. The good thing about analog systems is they're a little bit harder to breach. It's not a big target, so people have left them alone. But when cybersecurity is an issue for everything, and now as we jump into that next thing, that's going to be a target for them. So I think we need to make sure our technical staff is highly integrated into what we're doing with all of our consoles and all of our cop cars and all. I'm looking back there at Jeff, and I don't know how you guys keep up with all that stuff, because you got to be a cop, and then you got all this stuff in your car that it wasn't there 10 years ago or 20 years ago, or even maybe 5 years ago. And now you're expected to be running all this stuff. So, and our people in dispatch are the same number of people, but they've got a lot more stuff going on. So I think we just have to be aware of that. There's some legislation actually that's coming down. I don't know, Ryan, if you've heard about this, but they're talking about actually a certification for IT folks that work in the armor world and stuff. And I don't know where we're at with that, or I couldn't even comment. They're talking about now going to indoor mapping of schools, so that would show up on the guys. I don't know where it would show up. Have you heard of that, Jeff?
I don't know details.
Yeah, it sounds like, if there's an incident at a school, that school would be mapped, so the people going to help the school don't have to go in blind. They would have the map.
Well, and you go to a school and there's, 10 doors, which
Right.
door do you go to?
Right.
It's like, so yeah.
So-
there's so much that goes with it.
And then, of course, the armor funding, we paid for a lot of these armor systems with the 911 money that shows up on our monthly telephone and cell phone bills. The money, as we all know, the money takes a lot more money to buy that equipment now than it did 10 years ago. But the amount of money being collected isn't changing. So we gotta crack that nut somehow. It's not been on our AMC radar very much, unless you're in probably your committee, Matt, if you've talked about it there at public safety.
Yeah,
You know, it's
I
there's.
forgot to mention something too. It used to be the AMSRB board that ran at the state level for that's been disbanded, or now it's gonna be the emergency medical services, and there's gonna be 3 different groups underneath that. That's, the governor wants to do it that way, so. Same job, just broke down so it can be managed better, I think.
And then on Friday, I went to the groundbreaking for a new housing unit that's going in just south of the theater in Hinckley. And it's put together by our friends at the tribe. And it was a pretty good ceremony. The city of Hinckley, Don Zeman gave a really good talk and talked about their housing projects that have come to fruition. There's always developers there, always pushing ideas and wanting tax increment financing and stuff. And then when corporate ventures decides to go ahead, they know it's going to get a project in the ground. And so there's a 40 unit apartment style building going in with from 1 to 3 bedroom apartments. So that's pretty exciting.
Did Donnie say what's happening with, they were gonna be putting in some housing on the other side of the freeway?
That's on hold right now.
Okay,
I talked to them offline about that.
okay,
And they're looking, the financing things aren't lining up for that group right now just because of interest numbers, I think. And so they're still hoping it'll go through, but it's not.
I think, isn't it the same builder that has?
Yes.
This here too, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, and they're not getting these rented out as fast as they thought they would be there.
Well, it depends on who you talk to.
Okay,
When we went there, David and I went there a week or 2 ago for an open house they had. And the local people are happy with the progress being made. The corporate people, of course, want it full yesterday.
yep, it's their
But-
money, yeah,
It's,
yeah.
it's getting there. And then there was a township officers meeting last Saturday and JJ and I went and they are what they are, you know. Anyway, they missed Reese. But Jeff was there. Jeff took all the time, so.
And I had them talked out of doing it during spring breaks and MEA and stuff, but I guess I didn't have them talked out of it enough. No. So, are there any others? Right, we've got some upcoming meetings coming up. Take a look and then have a great day. We'll